Children Act. The left's been treating him like Mussolini. The law just prevents kids from attending adult live performances like drag brunches. Makes sense. You wouldn't take your kid to a strip club, so why would you take him to a man stripping at a brunch, right? Well, the answer is it's not okay, and most people know that. But the bill's led to some unintended consequences, and it's made a powerful group of people upset. Furries. What are furries? They're a group of people who dress up in costume and pretend to be animals.
So, a couple things, by the way. If you didn't know this, furries actually kind of power the internet. I used to be, and I'll give a couple things away here. I used to be a bigot towards a lot of groups. You know, a classic bigot towards homosexuals. I say that as a part homosexual. It's pretty wild. I was also a bit bigot towards furries and bronies. Both because in high school I didn't really understand what either of them were. Actually, I don't think bronies started becoming a really big thing until I was like in first year of college. But while I was leaving the high schools, furries certainly were something that everyone was still making fun of. And like it's just 100% because I had no idea what they were. I was like, you know, all you and all your buddies were just like, yeah, they're all a bunch of like sexual deviants. Wow, they're all pedos and stuff like that. And then like, you know, I started watching a couple documentaries on them. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, whoa, these are just a whole bunch of people who found a community and a shared thing that they all love, and you're shitting on it. What does that say about me? As in doesn't really do good on me, right? Because like furries are actually kind of fucking awesome. They all seem pretty badass. They're really anti-fascist. Like, not to say that there's a Nazi furries, but they're like any group, right? When you get to a certain size, there's going to be Nazis because Nazis just seem to appear everywhere. So there is Nazi furries, but the furries excise the Nazis very quickly. But they also they host massive protests. They've kicked Milo Yiannopoulos from speaking events before. Like the furries go hard. And again, a lot of the furries also happen to be coders, engineers who are powering the actual internet. And the reason I say that is because like it's always a go-to for people who want to basically make fun of LGBTQ plus culture. And I'm not saying that furry culture is just inherently part of LGBTQ plus culture, but there's a lot of overlap. There are a lot of people who happen to be queer who are also furries and vice versa, but you do not have to be queer to be a furry at all. There's a lot of cishet furries, fuck ton. I'd say there's probably fucking more cishet furries just because there's more cishets than anything else. Either way, they try to use it as an entry point. Like, okay, at this point in the game, most people accept white gay men. White gay men is kind of acceptable. There's conservative white gay men. There's the log cabin Republicans. There's of course your Dave Rubins. There's a general acceptability to a point. Can't be too gay. You know, your Ben Shapiro's will be like, well, I'm not gonna fucking bake you a cake. You can't come to my family's house and hang out with my loved ones. No, that would be uncalled for. You're a disgusting, depraved human being who's sinful and going to hell. But I will let you talk on certain issues and then tokenize yourself so that we can weaponize anti-LGBTQ plus rhetoric from a gay person's perspective, and so forth. And so that's kind of where they try to, you know, tackle these things. You know how Libs of TikTok went after the fact that there was litter boxes in a classroom photo because of school shootings, not because there was a you know, program to accept cat people, students who believed they were cats, and I'll give them litter boxes to have you know, make their business with. No, that's not what actually happened there. So furries are obviously, they're a frequent target by the right. It's one of those targets that the right thinks they get an easy win.
They like to go to conventions, kind of like a Comic-Con, except everyone's dressed up like the Philly Fanatic. I guess this is just good, clean fun. Different strokes for different folks and all, but there's also a sexual undercurrent at the events.
So human beings, we have a range of sexualities, and there are people, and it goes all the way from, you know, people who can be hypersexual, people who can be asexual. There are people who are homosexual, bisexual, pansexual, a lot of different variations. Like anything else, we're discovering more and more. It's a spectrum, like everything else, a large spectrum. And of course, with any large community, there's going to be a sexual element to that large community. Does that mean that the entire community itself is uniting because of the sexual element? No. And so that's obviously what the right is going to try and do, right? Get in there and be like, well, they like to have sex with each other in costumes. So what does that tell you?
Some of it gets like, you know.
I know, well, adult people do adult things.
Watch out for the guy with the paddle.
Wild.
I want to get so
Oh my God. The depravity.
So now,
my eyes will never be the same. The things I have seen.
To go to an upcoming furry convention in Florida, and the furries are furious. As the old saying goes, mess with the cat, you get the claws. We now turn it over to a real life furry, David Kanaska, to respond. Nice. All right, David, how old are you?
I'm 32.
And what are you supposed to be dressed up as here?
Well, currently, I'm a raccoon.
And why are you dressed up as a raccoon?
Well, isn't it fun?
For you, you tell me.
Jesse. I'm not going to comment on whether or not I would find that experience enjoyable. Is it enjoyable? Where does one procure one of those costumes? How much do they go for? Are they in stock? Do I have to order one special? If I order one special, will it take a while? Can I get it from Alibaba.com? Are there specials if I buy 2? Can I buy 4 or more? If I want one for a different time, if I want different colors, do I want variations? I'm not entirely sure. Sorry, back to you.
Oh, for me, absolutely. I'm hoping it's fun for everyone around me. The joy of bringing smiles to everyone's face is really the only reason that I like to do this. Getting smiles and bringing people happiness in all sorts of ways. The
horror. The horror.
furries I know specifically are great at art and dance and theatrical performance, and it all brings with it.
Well, I mean, you're also great at spankings. Did you see the video we just played?
That's a weird thing to say when someone's like, hey, I like doing a thing because it actually makes people happy and it's making me happy too. And I want to keep doing it because it makes me happy and it makes other people happy. So that's why I like doing it, because it makes people happy. It's like, cool. Well, do you know some people like to spank each other in costume like yours?
What's going on with the spankings at the furry conventions?
Well, there's a popular restaurant called the Habra House, and this is a restaurant that is pretty close to one of the conventions that we set up every year. And at the Habra House, it's customary in Germanic tradition to I guess slap the asses of all of the patrons. I don't know why.
I didn't know the Germans were into that kind of kink, but there's a lot I don't know. So why do you want kids around people dressed up?
I've never heard of non-furries doing spanking. That's true. I don't think anyone who's not a furry has ever been spanked before. It's not the common activity that human beings engage in. Yeah, no, certainly exclusive to furries.
As squirrels getting spanked?
Me personally, I don't. I think that it's definitely an adult-only environment for that. The furry conventions themselves don't have anything to do with that, though. The furry conventions themselves are really about community and bringing people together. You know, a lot of us, we're not so socially, it's a little bit tough. You know, it's easy to make fun of furries.
So why are you upset that kids are not allowed to be at the furry convention?
What? Did you listen to a single goddamn word he said? I mean, goddamn, it sucks. It's sad. It's just really sad if someone else is like, hey, I do a thing because it makes me happy. Cool. Also, I've had a lot of trouble in social environments, so wearing a mask also helps that and allows me to express myself and be in social environments. That's also kind of nice. So why don't you want children to come to the events? I feel like you have a focus, Jesse. This individual on the right has been talking about happiness, has been talking about spreading happiness, has been talking about feeling comfortable, and has been talking about, you know, enjoying the company of others through this particular, let's just say, method of performance. And on the other end, you're like, well, what about the spanking? What about bringing kids in there to see the spanking? What about if you spank the kids? What, is that what the furries want? Do the furries want this?
Well, me personally, I think that it is a great way to include everyone, no matter, you know, what their age. It's nothing. There's nothing inherently sexual about these conventions. You have panels that teach you how to create costumes or dance or, you know, we have variety shows and all kinds of stuff, but it's not sexual. It has nothing to do with that.
Okay, you say it's not sexual. That's fine. We have video that proves otherwise. But if, like, the governor said you can't have kids at the convention, why wouldn't you just say, okay, it's too bad, move on? Why are you and your crew so insistent on having the kids there?
So I don't think that there's a huge backlash, but I mean, I could be wrong. There's from my understanding, it is from my understanding, the convention just wants to avoid any legal gray areas that might be present in the law. It's you know, we're misunderstood as a group, and it's very easy to vilify us.
Okay. Do you blame yourself at all for being misunderstood? I mean, you're the one dressed up as a raccoon.
Oh, absolutely. I think that this is absolutely crazy and weird and fun. And that's the point. I think, you know, it's supposed to gain attention. I like being on stage. I like performing as a character. I like bringing joy to people.
Okay.
That's why I do it.
If I came to one of your conventions,
of
David, or maybe we sent Johnny to the convention, what should we dress up as?
You can dress up however you want. We've had Jack Sparrows show up. We've had all kinds of different animals. What kind of animal do you think you would be?
Probably a dinosaur. David?
You know, he's thought about this one. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. Yeah, there you go.
A dinosaur. I like that.
I got to run. Good luck. And don't sweat too much.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you very much.
You're the one dressed up as a raccoon. Waters grills furry in surreal interview. Fox News host Jesse Waters interviewed a furry on Monday about the ongoing feud between the furry fandom and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and grilled him over a video of a furry being spanked. What are furries? He asked. I guess this is just good, clean fun. Different strokes for different folks and all, but there's also the sexual undercurrent at the events. I see, like, a lot of these motherfuckers see sex everywhere, right? Like, a lot of the Puritans, the people who want to restrict and limit other people's sexuality, they really want to involve themselves in other people's sex lives and stuff like that. They seem to be really hyper-focused on sex. Like, whenever you listen to a Catholic priest try to condemn people for what they do, it's like, oh, you're an abomination, you're going to live in sin for all time, confess, confess. You need to get into that small little booth over there and tell me every one of your sexual ideas, secrets, and every sexual encounter you've ever had in lurid and lucid detail, and then while you're telling them, I'll tell you all the prayers that you need to do while we both sweat together. It's going to be amazing. Let's get inside there and reveal your secrets. And it's like, what the fuck? So I guess that is, that's Furrygate. It's pretty wild. Fox News. I would like to say that I think he got crushed, personally. I'm talking about Jesse Waters. I think Jesse Waters fucking just lost that fucking furry debate pretty hard. Also, he didn't have to think about the answer at all. He was already being told he'd be a dinosaur if he was furry. True. Well, like, it's like one of those things where, like, hey, what did, hold up, what was the person saying on the other end? Like, the so-called, you know, the degenerate of the two of them. He's like, hey, I like to do this because it makes me feel loved, and I want to spread love, and I want to make other people feel loved, and it's nice, and it makes them smile, and it makes them happy. I get to be myself. And then the other side is Jesse Waters being like, but what about spanking? What about all the spanking? You furries spank each other, right? Can you show me the spanking? We've only seen a little bit of the footage. I'm sure there's more. There's got to be more somewhere. Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form, available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
Thank you kindly to our Lord and Saviors Peyton L. Just and Xander Corvus. Without you, we are nothing. And now, a shout out to our Knights of the Square Table. Amazing Flesh, Anna Loves Riley, Adrian McCarthy, DM Rivera, Doug Cady, Everything Important, Hegbard Celine, Izzy Solidarity, La Media Panza, Matthew Scarborough, Multimondi, Nettle, Omni, Peanut Butter Blonde, Political Papi, Quiet 185, Rachel K, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Kubi, Cernicus, Spinach Monster, Stellar Vision, Sebastian Demmel, Thomas, Trevbot EXE, Lucidry, Words Greenwood, Cheryl Alvarez, Tony Perkins, Thomas, O'Pecker, Travis McClinton, and Victoria Bell. Thank you so much. And a huge shout out to all the other people who make this entire show possible. Without you, it would not exist. If you can support us, please go to patreon.com/theserfs, and even $1 can help unlock all of the little goodies and help make this show entirely possible.